This is so exciting. I love this. We are taking questions from our viewers today, live and in person, sort of.
Live and in person online.
Yes.
Love it. Just like our classes in person online.
Yes, you're right.
Who do we have with us today?
We have Jessica with us. And Jessica, how are you?
What's up, Jessica?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. Can you speak into the mic? We can't hear you.
Sure. So my name is Jessica. I'm 35 years old. I am from Oakland, New Jersey. And I just so happen to have a predicament that I hope you guys can help me out with.
So what is that predicament? Lay it on us.
So I happen to inherit a 2-family property from my parents passing last year. And my brother also inherited half of the property as well. And I wanted to see if it was possible to buy him out so I could use the secondary apartment as a rental income to offset the mortgage payment.
Okay, so we're sorry to hear about your parents.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. So it's a 2-family property. Do you currently live in the property?
Yes.
And this is your brother. So does your brother live in the property with you?
Yes, he does.
Do you both live in the same apartment?
No, there's a first floor apartment, like a studio, and then the upstairs is a 3-bedroom apartment.
Okay, so the property has 3 apartments.
No, it's a downstairs.
I'm sorry, 3 bedrooms
I think.
upstairs.
How many separate apartments are there?
2.
Okay. So your brother lives in one and you live in the other.
Yes.
Okay. Is your brother it's a legal 2-family house as far as you know?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. Is your brother willing to sell it to you?
He is, but he wants like a full buyout price. So I wasn't sure if it goes against what's left on the mortgage or if it's what the house is worth itself.
Okay, so if you have an existing mortgage, that's great, but that's kind of irrelevant to where we go forward. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what the value of the house is. You have to talk to your brother and decide whether or not he's going to just accept a number that the two of you agree to, or if he wants an appraisal, okay? And then you need to go and get pre-approved by a mortgage company to see if they will give you a loan. Have you talked to anyone yet?
I have not. This is something that has come up pretty recently and something I'm unfamiliar with, so I wasn't too sure how to go about it.
Okay, so you're going to treat this just as if you were buying a new home, because in reality you are. The mortgage is in the existing mortgage is in your parents' name, so it's not yours, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you're a new buyer. This is a new home. There's somebody selling it. The estate of your parents would be selling it to you. So it's clean, it's clear. You just have to go and get an approval and see if you can make it happen.
See, but when Jessica and I were talking before we came on, right? She was saying that the interest rate for her, right? The interest rate is super low that your parents had.
It was extremely low. We were lucky enough that they refinanced years ago and we're down at like a 2.5% rate.
Okay, so if your existing loan, which by the way is not yours, but usually what happens, a lot of these banks, as long as the loan keeps getting paid, they don't call the loan.
Okay.
Okay, so if you think you can keep your existing loan, then the approach I would take would be to talk to your brother and say, hey, bro, the house is worth $500. We have a mortgage of $300. There's $200 left. 100's mine, 100's yours. I owe you $100. Will you $100,000? Will you let me pay you off and then see if he'll be the mortgage for you on the condition that he moves out or pays rent, one of the two, and then you have a lawyer structure a deal where you're actually paying him a mortgage.
Okay, that makes sense, and definitely something that I did not think would even be possible. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, he has to agree to it. So he may want all his money right now, so I don't know what he feels about that, but you could also entice him and say, look, I'm going to give you, 20 grand right now, and I'll pay you the other 80 off with interest. So set a good rate, try to go a little bit lower, see if he'll take it, family, friends. If not, then go higher, but say, look, I'll pay you off over 5 years. I'm going to give you X $1,000 per month and try it.
I have two questions for you and for Jessica. So you said they need an appraisal. Now, do they have to get a full-on appraisal, like get an appraiser, or can they use a real estate agent to sort of give them an estimate of
Sure,
what the comps are?
So a real estate agent is not an appraiser unless they're a licensed appraiser. Now, the only time you need a real appraisal is if you're A, doing a mortgage, or B, some kind of litigation. If your brother and you are amicable and he agrees to a number that the two of you pick together, then you do not need an appraisal.
So, Jessica, what's the relationship between you and your brother? Is it strained? Are you perfect? What's going on there?
So it's definitely far from perfect. I feel that sometimes he could have like a sour attitude towards me since I'm the executor of the household and, get to make the major decisions. So he kind of holds that against me in that since I'm doing my part, that he should be entitled to more quicker than what he is now. And part of his reasoning is because he is in the smaller apartment and I'm in the larger apartment.
What do you think about that?
Family matters are always challenging. I'm big on family, so just tell your brother that you love him if you do, and try to work it out. If you want to trade apartments, but I think that there's probably sounds like there's issues from the past. You just have to tell him that you want to move forward. And again, this is more like psychiatry right now than anything else. But having dealt with a lot of family issues, just try to keep your goals in mind, which are to buy your brother out of the property. Try to figure out what he's looking for. Try to be flexible. Understand his frustration. It could be more than what's going on. There could be pent-up aggression from when he was 2 years old, against your mother or your father. Who knows what's going on there? Just try to understand, and just remember, don't get emotional. Try to work towards a goal and listen to what he says and try to figure out what his objections are, and then just move forward step by step. But make sure you're ready to go. If you do get to an agreement, make sure you have a lawyer in place who can put it down on paper and make it happen.
You're always talking about win-win situations. What would be a good way for her to make this a win-win situation? Or pain, sure. As you put it.
So, the way I understand it is, or the way somebody taught me years back, is a good deal is always when both parties walk away unhappy. So, obviously we always want a better deal and we want to be happy. But, in a situation like this, it's you and your brother. In theory, you want both of you to be happy. So do your best to try to come up with a middle ground. You're in a higher position because you are the executor. And try to make it happen. Try to maybe offer him a little bit more money. Maybe, if the appraisal comes back where you owe him 100, be like, I'll give you 120 because I know that, mom wasn't as good as she should have been, or maybe I got something else. Just try to come up with some scenarios and negotiate it, and just do it in out of a place of goodness and try to make it happen.
I think that's so interesting that you say take the emotion out of it, because when you're dealing with family, blah, there's always so much emotion. And you're right. It could be something from when you were both 5 years old. And I know I still refer back to when my cousin Todd pushed me down the steps when I was 4. You know what I mean? I'm like, Todd.
Because that affected you.
Well, yeah, knocked out a few brain cells, but so I get it. What do you plan on doing, Jessica? Like, what do you think your next step is going to be?
And remember, you can't both be emotional. If the two of you are emotional, you're never going to get anywhere. So you have to be the calm, reasonable, and understand you have a goal. Work through the situation to get your goal. And then once you get it signed, then you want to go full emotional, go for it.
Right. What are you going to do, Jessica?
Yeah, so I think my first step would, obviously be I want to contact a lawyer and make sure I can have all the legalities figured out. But I'm definitely leaning more towards, trying to add a little bit extra to his pot, so to say, to try to get him out and be able to either rent that apartment or, just kind of offset the mortgage that is currently in place, since the rate is pretty good. But you guys definitely gave me some other items to think about and different routes that I'm able to take that I was not familiar with previously.
Awesome. And one last thing that I just thought of. Maybe he wants to stay there. So maybe offer him the ability to stay there as a tenant. So even though that may not be your desire, it may help you get the deal signed. So get the deal signed, let him stay there. If for some reason you're afraid that he's not going to pay and in 6 months from now he doesn't pay, then you can evict him.
You could.
But then you got your main goal is to save the house and to get the deal done. So, it depends on your goals. Good luck.
Thanks for watching this episode. Now don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And we'll see you next time.